Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Empowered by Claudia podcast. It's been a while. It's been a little break. And today's episode, I'm going to tell you all about it, about how much my life has changed in that time. And I'm really excited to share lots of things with you. So please forgive me for the break. The last episode was released at, I think it's the beginning of October 24. So we've had just under a year and 3 months break. And it wasn't an accidental pause, although I didn't think it was going to be quite that long, but I needed that time to focus on myself, on my clients, on my family, mainly my health. So I've had 2 operations in that period of time. The first was, I was just recovering from the operation when the last podcast was out, but I actually recorded it in the August. So I needed to recover. I needed to practice what I preach and really focus on work-life harmony. And I feel so grateful for being able to take that pause. I was still working on my business, but obviously recording and editing and publishing podcasts does take a lot of bandwidth. And I really needed to hone into what I wanted to make this a sustainable business and what that means as a working mum. And this is what I practice with my clients. This is what we talk about. This is, how to make those decisions about what is the most important thing in that time, what priorities we're going to have. So I'm going to share a little bit about where I've been, what I've been up to, introduce this little kitten. If you're watching, she's no longer a little kitten, she's 1. So we adopted her and her brother on, it's like the 18th of December last year. So we've had them for just a year. Unfortunately, we only have Willow because lovely he was run over, bless him. So that was back in May. We're still upset about it now. It's really hard, but she's such a lovely little cat. And it's lovely. It's really lovely having a pet, someone to come home to, someone to keep you company when you're working on your own. It just is a different energy in the house. So I'm sure any other pet owner will probably say the same. But yes, if she does, she probably will just sleep because this is prime sleeping time and she's got a nice blanket. So but yes, for those of you who are not watching this, I will pop a picture of her on my socials so you don't miss out. But anyway, so what does sustainable success really look like as a working mum? So I want to share with you how I have juggled my recovery, my health, my family, and my work without burning out or pushing through at all costs. So if you've been feeling stretched, tired, or if you're questioning how on earth you're meant to actually have any goals yourself alongside just surviving life, then I hope that this podcast episode will feel reassuring, grounding, and supportive for you. So in September 24, I had my left carpal tunnel operated on. I'd already had the right one done the previous November, so kind of knew what to expect. It was very sore, very painful, very swollen. I think one of the hardest things is not being able to do things for yourself. Like it's a struggle to wash hair, like holding a shampoo bottle, squeezing it, and then catching the shampoo and things like that. All things that you don't quite envisage before are going to be an issue. Brushing my teeth was easier this time. I made the mistake before getting my right hand done, not practicing brushing with my left hand. Yeah, that was a challenge. But I did hear someone the other day, I think it was Pamela Pritchard, she's coaching with Pamela, she was saying that it's actually a hack for learning something new. When you're brushing your teeth with the opposite hand that you normally use, you're activating different parts of your brain. So it's a really good time to learn new knowledge because your brain's already activated. So that's a little tip I just learned. But yes, it was a bit tricky getting used to that. But yes, so I didn't have that drama with regards to having the left hand done, but it was still obviously not being able to drive, particularly obviously in the UK, changing gears, my car, that was impossible. So yeah, that took a bit of time. And obviously while I was off from that, I couldn't do anything on the business. I had to be really mindful not to have another injury with the kids, protecting a wound. And like any sort of injury, it seems the minute that you have a vulnerability, everybody will guaranteed bang into it, stand on it, or you know. So yes, so that was having to really consciously say to myself, right, we are in a period of rest, we are recovering, I'm not going to do too much. So I did catch up on some TV series, a bit of reading, and just generally trying to rest as much as possible on the days when the children are in school and nursery, because obviously when they're home, you're still mummy, you still got to do stuff. Then I have been suffering with a very painful lump, which actually turned out to be endometriosis in my C-section scar, which is what I thought it was, but I couldn't. It took a while to convince them, took 2 years to convince the surgeons to operate and take it out. Each month it was growing bigger and bigger, becoming more and more painful. It was impacting my ability to even wear normal clothes. I couldn't wear trousers. Could only wear leggings or dresses, couldn't sit for long periods of time, and just horrific pain, like burning sensations down my legs, agony if anything went near it. And it got worse every time I was on my menstrual cycle, my period, and really, really took it out of me. And I finally had that operated on in June. And I can honestly say, I feel like my whole life has changed. I think sometimes when you're in the trenches with a health condition, you don't realize how bad it is until it's been fixed. It obviously the operation was quite a big job to recover from. I had lots of, I won't go too much into the internet, but essentially it felt like a bit by a bus afterwards. And then obviously my fibromyalgia decided that was a great time to flare up. So I ended up having some time off work from there. And again, whenever I was off from my NHS job, I couldn't do anything for my business and obviously needed to heal, which is really frustrating when you've got so many good ideas. And I'd managed to schedule quite a bit before I went off sick. But so it did maybe see that I was here, but it was all done in advance. And I think it's really hard to stop, particularly as women, particularly as caregivers. We feel like our worth is tied into our output. Are we productive when we're resting? If I'm not doing, what do I have to offer? And that can be a really big mindset thing to overcome, is actually that rest is productive. Rest is important. I am a better mother, partner, daughter, friend when I'm not pushing through, when I'm not just putting a smile on and pretending that everything's okay. And asking for help, reaching out, asking one of the school parents if they can give me a lift to take my son to school because I can't drive and it's too far to walk. And those things, people are happy to help you, but it can feel so hard to actually take that first step and send a message or ask a question and say, actually, would it be possible if I could have this assistance? And saying no to things is actually saying, actually, I don't have the spare energy to do that. I need to recover. I need to rest. And it can feel really hard, like thinking back to when the children were babies, like if people came to visit, you have all these intentions, oh, well, I'll get them to hoover and do the washing up and things. And actually they get there and you think, well, I should be doing something. Like, no, you're feeding and caring for a new baby, and that is exhausting. And so if people can help you, then let them. And it's so easy to say and not necessarily that easy to follow through with. So I really focused this past year on my goals for 2025 were to focus on my health, to focus on quality time with my family, making memories and being present. And also the other things that I focused on, obviously building my business and achieving that goal of leaving my NHS job and working fully on my business. So newsflash, I no longer work for the NHS. I am full-time in Claudia Sabina Wellness and I love it. So how did it happen? How did we get here? So when we have a big goal, particularly when there are challenges in the way, it can be really overwhelming and daunting to start. And I think this is probably going to be more than one podcast episode. Um, I started 2025 and I was in the worst health that I think I've ever been in. And I was like, I need to do something about this. And part of me was like, but it's so painful with this lump that the idea of exercising doesn't feel good. It feels scary, but I don't know when this operation is going to happen. All I knew in the November that I was on the list, but it could potentially be a year. So was I going to wait for a year to start exercising, eating differently? Or was I going to delay it until the operation, until I felt better? And I decided, actually, no, enough is enough. And this year I'm going to take control of this. And so I joined the gym, which was not straightforward in the slightest. And I will do a full episode on that because, but I met this lovely instructor, Karina, and she was really good at giving me adjustments that wouldn't aggravate my scar, that meant that I could gradually build up my ability to exercise for a full 45-minute class, from going from having a pause from exercising. You do get deconditioned. And actually, I really, really felt it. I was like, I really need to, I'd focused in 2024 increasing my daily steps, and I'd done really well with, hitting 10,000 steps every day and, attaining that. But I was like, I need to do more. So I started off going to one Zumba class a week, and bit by bit built that up. I had a few setbacks. I mean, I'd laughingly told everybody that I met that I had a fall. So I fell over when we were at Centre Parks, really hurt my knee. It's still not great, to be honest. I think I probably did the GP said, oh, I think you've cracked your knee, but there's no point in x-raying it. It doesn't change the management. But yes, so really hurt my knee, which stopped me from going to classes, I think probably a month before my operation ended up being, because I could barely walk, never mind dance. But I went back as soon as I was able to in August, and I'm now going regularly, probably to about 6 classes a week on average. And this time last year, I wasn't doing anything. I was doing my steps, but I wasn't doing any aerobic exercise. And I've had to balance that. Obviously, I don't want to sell off my fibromyalgia, but I feel so much better. The connections that I've made, friendships in the gym classes, it's part of my routine. And I feel like I'm finishing this year so much healthier with, and this is what I imagined when I did my coach training and I was visualizing what it would be like to have my own business, was to do, regular daytime exercise classes, to do those around coaching calls, to be living a healthy lifestyle, to be able to run around with the children and join in their games and not be out of breath and not struggling to get up off the floor, and all those things that had crept up that were really tricky. Not saying that it hasn't been hard and painful, and I've tried some things and been, okay, not going to do that again. But it's been really good getting back into those habits of exercising regularly, which is what I used to do. But it can be so hard. There's so many things that send us off track, and really hard. I spoke about this earlier this month, but with mum guilt, whenever I go to leave to the gym, the kids are like, don't go, mummy, stay, don't go. And I'm like, but I'm doing this so I'm a better mummy, so that I'm not as snappy, because I've had a bit of time out, because I've been able to look after myself. And it is so, so important to have sustainable goals. So for me, part of wanting to work for myself is that I can have a healthier lifestyle than if I'm chained to a desk for however many hours a week and then getting home absolutely wiped out and having no energy for that. That is not healthy for me. And I know there are many people who can we can juggle working and a healthy lifestyle, but that wasn't my reality. And although I did start going to these classes whilst I was working, it has been a lot easier to fit them in and have the energy to do those now that I'm fully self-employed. Since I had my operation in June, I have lost nearly 2 stone in weight, which I'm so, so proud of. It's been a really hard journey. Even had health professionals telling me that I was never going to lose weight and this was just who I was and this is my genetics. And that was really hard because I know, from my nursing, I know that obviously being overweight puts me at various health risks, and I just feel so much better. And I feel very privileged to have been able to invest in my health, because ultimately I was struggling. I've tried every diet under the sun and I have been taking medication, and that has really, really helped me. But it doesn't mean that I'm also not taking the action. And I do feel, like I said, very grateful that I've been able to invest in myself and in having a healthier lifestyle. And so a lot of the things that I talk about, particularly when I'm talking about fear of success, is about having your own definition of success. And for me, in January 25, when I was setting my yearly goals, my goal was in June to hand in my notice. I need 3-month notice period from the NHS and be full time in my business. When I say full time, I don't mean, 40 hours a week or whatever. I mean working school hours, having the school holidays off so I can be with the kids, and acknowledging that, I don't want to burn out to meet somebody else's definition of success. I want my definition of success. I cannot tell you that moment when I handed my notice in June and then was refreshing my vision board and my goals that I have above my laptop, and saw that actually I'd put in my June goals to hand in my notice. I was like, oh my gosh, when I wrote that, I had no idea how that was going to happen. I just knew that that is what I wanted to do. And I still cannot quite believe it. But this year has been filled with so many challenges and so many high moments. And I just feel overwhelmingly grateful for all of that. But also acknowledging it took bravery, that, this leaving behind the only career I've ever known in nursing has been my only job, since I was 18, working in hospitals as a healthcare assistant and as a nurse. That's what I know. That's the routine. And actually, that's been a little bit of a challenge, getting used to not being in a hospital environment and being self-employed. But overwhelmingly, I know that this is what I dreamed of. This is what I imagined when I did my coach training. And they said, imagine yourself as a successful coach. What will it be like? What will it feel like? And having checking in with yourself and going, actually, this is the bits that I'm struggling with. I need community. I need people around me, and making sure that I go out and I network and I do face-to-face events. And so what I want to say to you is that you can have success on your terms. You don't have to have success on somebody else's terms. It doesn't, just because someone says, oh, this is the ideal, this is what I'm living, doesn't mean that that's your idea. It doesn't mean that it's the only way to have success. And I don't know what 2026 has in store, but I am so excited for it. And I just want to encourage you that even if you're feeling in the worst shape of your life, having no hobbies, no time for yourself, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stuck in a career that isn't lighting you up, feeling burnt out, that there is hope. And even if you do not know how you're going to get there, you will get there. So writing down, like I did January last year, saying, I'm going to hand in my notice. I'm going to work in my business full time. I didn't know how that was going to happen. We don't have to have the answers as long as we have a goal and we have a vision. What is it going to look like? What is it going to feel like? And then all we need to do, I say all with a big asterisk, but all we need to do is take that first step and then the next step. We don't need to have a whole path mapped out. And we will try things and they don't always work. We may have an idea that this is how it's going to happen. I'm going to take these steps. With my health journey, I had been referred. It was nearly a 2-year waiting list for a service to help, and they ended up not accepting my referral. Actually, it was the best thing. It forced me to go out and take other action, because it wasn't the right fit. But when they told me it wasn't the right fit, I was devastated, because I felt like it was my last hope. And so I think being a little bit relaxed about how that goal is going to come to life is really important. because actually sometimes things work out in a way that you can never imagine and end up being so much better. So what was key? What was different? In January, I basically set down my monthly goals, and I did it until July. So I did January to July, and each month I put a focus for that month. What was my aim? And I worked out how many days I would have on my business to do that. So some months it was 5 days, some months it was 6 or 7, some months it was less. Obviously don't want to work in the school holidays. I want to spend time with the children, and I can't work when they're here because they would be trying to type on the laptop or potentially breaking things, and they want attention too, right? So that then influenced what I put in for that month. So I knew, for example, April with the Easter holiday, there wasn't going to be much happening that month. So I put in things that wouldn't cause extra stress. Because if my intention is to have more quality time with my family, and then I've set loads of really strict goals for that month, that is not going to facilitate that goal of quality family time. So it's about being realistic and actually acknowledging that some months you are going to have more energy than other months. Sometimes you're going to have more capacity to do things. I knew that when I had time off sick from my surgery, that I'd have time to generate ideas, but not necessarily to take action. So it was really about planning that, but then also not being too hard on myself when things took longer than I expected. The joys of ADHD and time blindness, I always think things are going to be a lot faster than they are. But I also can hyperfocus and get loads done in a small amount of time. Really being gentle with yourself and thinking, actually, what is realistic for me and my situation? And just because somebody is doing it this way doesn't mean that that fits for me and my life. Really celebrating those little wins. So celebrating, I went to the gym this week, created a healthy meal and batch cooked and filled the freezer full of stuff that I can grab when I'm tired. I did some more steps today when I could have sat the whole day having a meeting, but actually made myself get up every hour to do some steps on the spot. I had good work boundaries and turned my phone off when I left and didn't turn it back on until I got back to work. Really, even those tiny things, they add up to make a cumulative difference in how you're feeling. Thinking about how you can switch off between work and home. And the most important thing is having the support of my wonderful business friends, Rachel and Carla, who I managed to meet up with last week for a little pre-Christmas meetup. And it really fills the soul of having someone there cheering you on who genuinely loves those wins for you, who know how much these things mean, who believe in you. And on those days when you're doubting everything, can be like, no, remember when you did this, remember this, we believe in you. And so over the last few weeks, I've been thinking ahead as to what 2026 will bring. And actually it prompted me to reignite an old offering that I had, which was a 33-day challenge for achieving your goals. And what I thought was like the biggest thing that I come across is that lack of community, that lack of when you're trying to make a big change and other people around you are not going for a big change. They're not striving for new things. They're stuck stressing about anything negative. They're in that negative spiral. It can be really hard when you feel like you're the only person trying to make a difference, trying to improve your health, trying to improve your mindset, to aim for big things. And actually having other people who are going to cheer you on, who have your back, who are going to raise your spirits on those days where it is tricky, because life happens. It's not all roses and rainbows and unicorns. Like, there are challenges, but actually having a supportive community behind you, in my opinion, is a huge reason why we can be successful and we can achieve the big things, because we've got people behind us. We're not doing it alone. And so this is why I'm bringing to you the Goalgetter membership. So throughout 2026, we are going to work together to achieve our goals, to keep ourselves and each other accountable, to troubleshoot when things don't go to plan, because that is life. Life throws us curveballs. You know, these things happen, and having other people who are in a similar situation, who can share knowledge, support, a shoulder to an ear to listen, maybe not a shoulder. I was going to say a shoulder to cry on, but I don't want you to, it's not about crying, maybe. Sometimes it's just about venting and having someone who can help you reframe that and think about, all the positive things that you've achieved. So this really conscious when designing it that I don't want to add another thing to your to-do list, but I want it to be a sanctuary, a retreat, a place to be yourself, to step into your true identity and really believe that you can make changes, that even if you haven't followed through with any goals or resolutions or whatever, that actually you can. This can be the year that you do it because you'll have that support in place. You'll have people to keep you going. And the idea is that there'll be weekly prompts for reflection, a monthly reset and intention coaching session with me that'll be live, but it'll also be recorded if you can't make the time. And just so we can come together and actually say, well, this is what I'm working on this month. And that we can support each other. And maybe someone has a contact, someone has ideas. Sometimes there are things that we haven't even thought of. And then a monthly idea lab, because I am amazing at idea generation. I love it. I've even added on a special hybrid coaching session that's part coaching, part idea generation. And I absolutely love delivering them because I guess it's maybe the ADHD brain or whatever, but I love coming up with ideas for people if they're stuck on something. So we're going to have a monthly live call for that as well. And it's a private supportive community. It's on an app. You don't have to go on Facebook or anywhere like that. It's purely a little sacred space just for us to achieve our goals and become goal getters. So I'd love for you to join us in that community. And I have kind of put a little founding early bird offer for essentially until the 10th of January, because waiting for schools to go back and to get over like the New Year thing. I think a lot of people start things on the 1st of January and actually they're not really in the right frame of mind. And you can start with me. The materials and everything will be available from the 1st of January. But if you want a little bit more of a aligned, respectful to your own sanity start to the year, then if you join before the 10th of January, you'll lock in the founding member rate, which is very exciting. And there'll be some bonuses, some prizes. Super excited about that. And then after that, we just monthly fee, because if we don't pay for things, we don't tend to do the action. So I want this to be affordable, but I also need you to be committed, because otherwise it's just another thing that you're not going to do. And actually, if you want this year to be, or next year, to be the year that you actually achieve your goals, then I think you need to commit to that. For me, it was mapping out and going, right, on this day, I'm going to do this to advance my business. I'm going to do this to put in place plans to spend quality time with my family. It needs to be intentional. There needs to be action, because without action, nothing happens. You can have the most beautiful vision board. You can have all of these goals written down, but without any action, it's just words. So by joining in with the community, by getting it, this is how life changes. This is how you finish the coming year on a high, knowing that your life is completely different to how the year started. So please check out all the details in the show notes. I'm so excited to invite you to join us. I cannot wait to be sharing with you all of your wins, all of those exciting transformations. And I'm in a couple of memberships and I think it's absolutely amazing. When someone has been working so hard for something and they finally message and said, I did it, whether it's passing a course, whether it's, achieving a big goal in health, in work, in relationships. It is amazing celebrating with them. And that joy is infectious. That determination, that inspiration is infectious. So I just want to offer that to you. And I want to say to you that you're not behind. You don't need a fresh start. You don't need a new you. What you need is support and accountability and someone to say that I believe in you, that I've got you, that I will be cheering you along, and I'll be helping you troubleshoot if things get tricky. And I think it really is possible to absolutely smash your goals and stay true to your values, whether that is being present in your relationships, in your friendships, in your children's lives, whatever those values are, but staying true to them, not getting sucked up in the environments you're in, whether that is a workplace that might be a bit toxic, or whether it's friendships that might be overwhelming and draining, whatever that might be it's family dynamics that are really not serving you, but it is possible for you to stay true to your values. And everything that I've shared today is the reason that I decided to offer this new and improved version of Goalgetter as a year's membership. Just let's keep ourselves accountable. Let's keep ourselves on track. And I will share with you everything that I know, everything that I've learned, and I give you that support that understands that life happens. Like, I'm not going to be like, well, why haven't you done this? But actually thinking, well, so let's reflect and celebrate the things that you have done. So this isn't going to add to your load, to your mental load. This is going to fit around and support and uplift you. So absolutely no pressure to join us, but I really love it if you checked out what's involved. And any questions, just send me a DM or an email. I'd love to talk with you about it. I hope that you have found this episode, this update helpful. I have done an Insta Live all about health advocacy and how I managed to advocate for myself and for the operation. That has really, really changed things for me. I've also been doing some sessions with my local social prescribing group, all about helping people with their well-being. There's just so much things I need to catch you up on. So there will be more episodes, but essentially I'm back. And if there's anything you want me to cover on the podcast, please do let me know. And in the meantime, take care and wishing you the most wonderful Christmas and a happy new year. I'll see you very, very soon.